All right, we are live. Tap and Birdie, special edition Asian Tour Saudi International with my good friend Tom Jacobs. Tom writes for Oddschecker. He's one of the sharpest minds in the industry, writes excellent course previews. Doesn't matter the tour, doesn't matter the event. He's on it. Tom, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I mean, like you say, it doesn't matter the tour. I kind of spend too much time looking at golf, right? It's almost like a second job, which is, I don't get to see my partner very often, bless her, but it's good fun, buddy. It's good to get in. I really enjoy the first round leader stuff. That's where I find an edge at the moment. Pebble need to release some tee time, so I can get into that this week. But this is this Asian tour event now. After a year or 2 or 3 years being on the DP World Tour. It's strange, but we've got all the good guys here, right?
I mean, that's why I wanted to do this, because if this was a field on the PGA Tour, we would be like, this is a great event. DJ, Xander, Cam Smith, Terrell Hatton, Bryson, Sergio, Casey, Finau, Neiman, Answer, Kokrak. Like, this is an absolutely stacked field they got in Saudi. And I want to say, before we start this, we do not condone any of the actions of the Saudi government. That has nothing to do with us. We just want to do a little pod and have some action on it. But I think it's going to be really interesting the years to come, because all these guys are going to have to play Pebble. And another reason I wanted to do this, the Pebble field's fine, but it's not great. I mean, it's not a great field.
No. I mean, it's quite fun in a sense, Pebble, at the moment, because you can get some of the long shot guys, and you can get an edge if you know what's doing the 7 and 6K range there, right? But everyone's here, and next year there's just going to be better guys here, and it's just going to be the guys that have to go and play Pebble that are not. And like, did you see like Ian Poulter's getting offered like £22 million or something ridiculous to go over to that tour? What are they offering the bigger guys, right? Like, what are they offering DJs to go full time? Like, I think they know to target the older guys because they've got less to lose, and they're big enough names to carry the tour. But eventually, you're going to get a Bryson or a whoever, Paul Casey. It's going to happen. So this could be the start of it. They've actually got another event happening in London, or just down the road from London, in June. So they're already getting their territory in.
Yeah, no, it's the whole Saudi PGA Tour, PGL. It's very Jared says, disclaimer, Brian does support the Saudi government. I do not. Okay, this is not, the Pone saw. But look, it's a great field, but the numbers are horrible. I don't like, these are pretty bad numbers, but I know some of your picks, but we can find it. So basically my thought process is that if they played this course before, and we have all the names from the PGA Tour, and we can find out what type of course it is and kind of course comps and what strengths are rewarded here, maybe we can handicap some of these guys that we do every single week on the PGA Tour. So are there any in particular skill sets that you're looking for? Does this course that they're playing help any sort of play? Is it you got to be long off the tee? Is it approach game? Is it putting? Is it going to be a birdie fest? Where do you see the winning score? What are you looking at this week?
It's definitely not putting. That is one thing I can definitely say. DJ, I think, was in the 60s for strokes game putting last year. So you don't need to putt. So Luke List would have been perfect for this, right? It would have been a perfect tee to green examination. It's basically that, right? So DJ was 60th in strokes game putting last year. Tony Finau 47th. Justin Rose 31st. So there's your answer. You don't need to putt, but tee to green now, 1st, 4th, and 6th. So it's just tee to green. Even approach 4th, 5th, and 7th. So it's just the guys that are just going to hit it long, hit it accurate, and make a few putts, I guess. 60th in the field and still win. It broke my heart because I was on Justin Rose at nearly 70-1 last year, which was wild. I had him and Kevin Na at 70s or 60-70-1, and Na managed to find more sand than they're actually using in Saudi Arabia because he just played out the bunkers all week, so it was tough.
So is this a course, like what's the yardage on this course? Is this a long course?
No, it's like 7,000 yards.
Just 7,000?
Yeah,
okay,
it's
so it's pretty short. It's pretty short.
Yeah, short, and I think it does help to be long, right? I think that you can just bash it out there and make some good results. But to be honest, it's so... You look at the winners, it's DJ twice and Graham McDowell. So polar opposites of what you need to win here. But when you look at kind of like the guys, I mean, the first year it was DJ, Hao Tong and Tom Lewis. Minwoo Lee was in 4th, Bryson was in 6th. So that was all kind of off the tee stuff. Then GMAC won it, final round 70, still beat DJ, Gavin Green, Phil Mickelson, Thomas Peters. Just bombers, right? Just people that are just sending it off the tee. DJ, Justin Rose, Tony Finau, Victor Perez last year. It's all just get you guys. I mean, I played Kevin Na last year. I'm going to play him again this year. So I need him to get hot with the putter. He needs to do it that way. But it's tee to green, man. It's just bomb it and find it and get it in the hole.
So this is kind of DJ's event. Like, do you think a price point of 7-1 is fair on DJ given his course history here?
Yeah, it's fair. Like, I will never bet it because I'll never bet single digit golfers. But you can't make him any bigger, right? I mean, he's first, and he probably should be first. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, and you think about him at Pebble and how good he is at Pebble. He'd have been 7-1 over at Pebble, and you can legitimately take 60 guys out of this field anyway. Like, probably 70. There's probably 20 guys that can win this. So, yes, he's competing against Xander, Peters, Hatton, the likes of that. But eventually, Bryson's not healthy, right? Sergio, you've got some good guys there, but yeah, it's his event.
So the odds are like, okay, I'm just going to run through the odds real quick because they're kind of like major-esque odds. Like, they're not giving any good numbers on any of these guys. We got DJ at 7, Xander at 11, Cam at 12, Terrell at 12, Bryson at 14, Sergio at 14, Casey at 16, Peters at 16, Tony at 16, Lowry at 20. Like, these are not great numbers. I know that's not where you're starting your card. Just off what you said, and if it's going to be elite tee degree game and putting might be at a little bit not as important, I kind of like Sergio. Like, I just think that kind of fits his game a little bit. I'm going to be betting on this event just because, like, I'm bored and, like, I want to try and hit a winner. But, I mean, if we're talking about elite drive era of the ball, like kind of a DJ comp, like, I think Sergio kind of fits that mold. So do you think that's fair? Do you think Sergio could be a play over in Saudi?
Absolutely. Like, he was like 6th tee to green last week, like just absolutely crushed the ball. Putter's not going to matter. And I don't know if you remember seeing it, but this was the course where he just absolutely beat the shit out of the bunkers. He just tore it up, got disqualified. But after that, he's been 6th and 12th. So generally speaking, plays well here. And I think he's sneakily playing better than he has been over the last couple of years without people really catching on. So although it's a 14-1 or whatever it is, I like Sergio long term this year.
Yeah, I mean, I like, again, you're not going to get a great number. I'm not going to do my normal like investment like in and out, right? But like, I'll throw a little bit on him. So I kind of like him at the top. Like Xander, that's just a horrible number. Like, I'm sorry, like 11-1 on Xander to win any event is horrible. Cam Smith, I don't really. And Terrell, I mean, I'm not like Terrell. I think is probably one of the most overbet people on the PGA and European Tour, and he really has like little to show for it. Like, he hasn't been a profitable bettor for many people, like, unless I'm completely mistaken. Like, I just think that people like to bet Terrell Hatton, like, always like waiting for a ceiling, and it just never kind of comes. Where are you at with his game?
So it's weird because if you look at the Rolex series, which is what they run on the DP World Tour, so it's like our biggest events that count towards the final rankings. He wins those events and he wins them a decent clip. Like, he's won like 4 of them, which is why he kind of gets the kudos that he does over on the DP World. And when he won, on the PGA Tour at Bay Hill, it kind of felt like that was his coming out party, right? Like, he played well at the WGC after a long layoff, came and won that, beat Mark Leishman. You think, right, this is it. And then he was really disappointed in the majors after that. Then he's kind of turned it around again. So I don't like him this week just because I think the price is short enough. He didn't bomb out last week, but he disappointed when he had a chance. And I think you're right. I think people just like to bet on him. Like, he's funny, right? The hot mics, like, he just swears a lot and, is self-loathing, and people just want to bet that kind of guy. And I think that's kind of more that than actually substance. Like, I don't think he's got any better chance than probably 6 or 7 guys around him.
Yeah. I think he's very mispriced a lot. So I know the first guy on your card, you bet him last year. You're going back to Kevin Na here. What is your reasoning for that? And why do you like Kevin Na at this event? You could get a 33-1 on him. I don't know what you got. I'm not in on all the European books. The only odds I can find are on FanDuel, but I think I could get a 33. So what do you like about Kevin Na this week?
So when I put him up originally, he was 45-1. He's come down to 33. And that's the same over here, right? It's changed. But he shot a 63 in the second round last year, and he was in 4th place after 36 holes. And then it was just Saturday that he just found sand after sand after sand, and it just ruined my life basically. But he, like last year, he was just completely wrong price, like 66 to 1. I don't think he was taking on board his kind of recent win rate. And I think that's kind of continued. Like, I think he's just that golfer now that I think he's an elite level. Now, there are slightly more guys here than there was last time. So he doesn't maybe stand out as much as he did. Like, there's Jason Kokrak, who's a similar sort of reasoning to bet him. But I liked him last year because of the Paspalum grass. Like, he used to putt really well on that at the CIMB Classic. They've got that here. So any of those guys that used to play CIMB until 2018, Mayakoba, things like that, I think that's a good reason to have him aboard.
I like it. I mean, I'm having you on. I'm going to have to tell. I'm going to have to put some money on Kevin. Now, I think Bradley Todd is on Kokrak. I don't. Again, this is just my thing with Kokrak. Like, I like Kokrak in really difficult conditions.
Yeah.
Like, look at his wins, like barring the CJ Cup, like Memorial and Houston are like some of the hardest non-majors of the year. And then you put him at a tournament like TOC where the winning score is minus 33 and he never plays well. Like, so if this event is going to be pretty low scoring, you're going to have to make a ton of birdies. I don't really like his game there. I like it more on an event where it's a lot like par is at a premium and the winning score isn't going to be some crazy number. So I think what did DJ win at last year? Minus 17 or so. Like,
yeah. So he was minus 15 last year. GMAT was minus 12, and then DJ was minus 19 the first year. And I think what you say about Kokrak is that was right. Like, before he was on these winnings, like, ball striking was everything, right? And it's like the same with Luke List. Like, anywhere where par meant a lot, like, they come to the fore. His driving and irons are at a premium, and that's where you get the best kind of Kokrak play. I do think because of the way he's improved his putter, he can go into these birdie fests a little bit more. And I was slightly getting a bit of remorse this morning that maybe I should have bet him at 40 to 1 because I was sitting there thinking, like, what price could you make him in a similar field on the PGA Tour, right? And I think when you look at Shane Lowry, should he be almost half the price of Jason Kokrak? Would he be half the price of Jason Kokrak in a PGA Tour event? Would Tommy Fleetwood be half the price? Would Thomas Peters be half the price? I don't think they would. I think they're kind of associating this as like, right, well, these are PGA Tour guys coming onto a European Tour event, and not only is it not a European Tour event anymore, but it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, Kokrak is an elite level golfer. He's 40 to 1. I would just be doing it for value. I don't necessarily think he's going to win. It was a bit like Matthew Wolff, who I actually crossed off my card for the same reasons. You think they can just tear the course up, and you don't know until Thursday.
Yeah, a total boomer bust situation. A guy I'm kind of interested in because of his length off the tee, and maybe he's not the greatest putter, but I think he had a really great showing at Farmers last week, is Joaquin Niemann. I think he kind of fits well. Like, I could kind of see me doing a card of Sergio, Niemann, and Nah. Like, I like those three plays. Like, just like very basic, like nothing crazy about it. Like, I just think Niemann's game, like, I'm glad he got some starts in last week because, in the start of the season, we're always worried about these guys in their first start, and he was able to perform really well. And I think that he is someone that, as Immelman likes to say, is sneaky long. Like, he's very long off the tee. At a course where DJ's, showing a lot of success, I think that could. So I'm betting Niemann. I'm betting Niemann.
He opened up at 40 to 1 over here, right? Yeah. And we just, like, everyone was on him. Like, I literally put a tweet out. I was like, if he's not the most tipped guy this week, then I don't know what we're doing. And before I even got to do my podcast last night, he'd gone to 22 to 1. I still think he's a great play. I probably would still bet him at kind of like a 25, 28 number. Once he starts getting to 20s, it's kind of short. But like you say, he's got the perfect profile, right? Like, he's exactly the same as DJ. He hits the ball like long and straight, and he's class, isn't he? Like, he's really good, and he's got that Paspalum experience, passing well at Mayakoba. So, yeah, good stuff.
All right. So we got some three. So who are some other guys you're betting? I know you got Nah. Who are some other guys on your card that you're looking at this week that I don't know? Like, any more PGA Tour guys you're betting?
No, so we've got Ju Young Kim, who was Tom Kim over on the PJ Tour, right?
Okay.
And he's just absolutely elite on the Asian Tour, and he's kind of been priced like it, like he's 50-1. I think I don't know what the number is over there. I think it's the same. In fact, I know it's the same because I'm looking at the US odds checker now. But his record here is, record recently: second, seventh, first, second. That's on the Asian Tour and Korean Tour. So hasn't made the step up yet when he's gone over to the PGA Tour. He played okay in Puerto Rico, but we know what that kind of event is. Hasn't done it in like the CJ Cup, American Express, or anything like that. But it just feels like this would be a little bit comfy for him. Like it's not far over from the Asian Tour. It's still part of the Asian Tour technically. Short trip. Like I think he's got a decent little pairing group to go with. So Ju-Young Kim, 50-1. I don't think they're taking any chances, right? The sports books, but I like the price.
No, I think that's good. And I think that the thing is that when you have an edge and like most people aren't like following the Asian tour very heavily, and when you get a guy that obviously is very impressive and a very good golfer, and then you get him at an event with, I'm sure you were hoping for a little bit better of a number on him, but there's still some value in that number because of how well he's been playing on the Asian tour, and he's obviously has a great game, so it definitely could translate no matter what course he goes to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of one of those ones that like you almost want to be on him. Like, the wind's coming, he's going to emerge on the next tour and things like that. And I think a lot of people will put Takumi Kanaya in that bracket as well. I don't think it's a great course for him. But I was curious what to do with Bubba Watson this week.
Yeah.
Like, he has the perfect game. Like, just completely I don't know if it's a bit too simple for him. He likes to shape the ball and get creative, and he's not going to get that chance to do that really. So it kind of put me off a bit there. And other than signing books, I don't know quite what he's been doing for the last couple of months. But I thought he was 125-1 at one point, like in a non-major, in a field where you can take 70 guys out. Like, that was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, I think as long as DJ just doesn't, and like DJ's not DJ of last year. Like, I don't think that like it's just a foregone conclusion he's going to win this event, because he really hasn't been in contention in really anything since he won the April Masters. I mean, since he won the Fall Masters, since he won this event last year. Like, he just hasn't really been great. And I think a lot of people are very high on a DJ resurgence year on the PGA Tour, but I think it's 7-1. I mean, I don't really think he's gonna get it done. I think we're gonna hit a winner this week. I'm excited to have a 24-hour sweat going.
I think the thing with him is, like, if you love Cantlay at Pebble Beach, like, chuck him in a double, that's fine. But even that's not a massive double, right? Like 7 and 8-1, it's not huge. It's different to putting like 20-1 guys we've been doing the last couple of weeks. And then I had a real FOMO bet, and there is no real substance to it other than Matteo Manacero used to be absolutely awesome on the European Tour. And when he played here 3 years ago, when he was basically broken, he shot a 66 opening round. And I'm hoping he can just kind of find that again. He's been playing on the Challenge Tour, which is kind of secondary to the European Tour. He was a guy that I literally watched win me money at Wentworth. I saw him win a playoff, and I've kind of never sort of like lost that love for him since then. So he's not playing great. Like, he's not played at the top level for a long time. He's like 425-1. So I'm certainly not advocating that he's going to win this week, but if you can get an each way or you can get top 10s or anything like that, then maybe give something like that a go. But it's tough, man. Like, it's really, really hard to see anyone outside of anyone like 20-1 winning this week. Like, even when I thought about Justin Rose and Kevin Na last year, like, they weren't 60-1 golfers. It was just wrong. Like, Na I didn't understand anyway. Rose was because people thought he was dead, and he's not. But you look, like, last year it was Dustin Rose, Finau, Callum Hill was playing well, and Victor Perez. That was the top 5. Victor Perez was in the Ryder Cup standings for a long time. Year before, Graham McDowell, Dustin Johnson, Gavin Green, Phil Mickelson, Thomas Peters. So they're generally speaking top level guys. The first year was a bit different, but again, you had Dustin first, Bryson 6th. Like, it's just the top guys. So they're going to come. They're going to feast on these, dusty Euros and poor Asian Tour players. There is a 14-year-old prodigy in the field in Ratchanon. I can't say his surname, Chatanawat or something like that. He played in Singapore last week and tore Paul Casey apart in the second round. And he's great. So he's going to win plenty. It's just not going to be at 14 years old against Dustin Johnson. But something to keep an eye on anyway.
Yeah, no, I'll have to keep out for that. What's up with Paul Casey? Like, is he good? Like, is he going to contend ever? Like, he's good in every single major, but he just hasn't been impressive recently. I'm a little bit worried about it.
I mean, he was 12th last week defending, right? And he shot 67 over the weekend. So he's kind of warmed up. But no, he's not been like, he went on a hot streak last year, right? Like he was just smashing it out, out of the park, really, like tee to green. Contended to those majors, and it feels like his window's closing. Like you've got him, you've got Poulter, you've got Rose, who's kind of up against it. Like they need to have a big year now because you've got Victor Hovland and Corey Morikawa like second and third in the world at like 25 years of age.
Yeah.
John Rahm, whatever he is, 28, 29. Like you need to figure your shit out before it's goodbye for you. Otherwise, you're going to be taking $22 million from the Saudi just to go over there and not play the big guns. So, was there any other guys that you liked at kind of like the mid range, like the 40 and 50 to 1?
I think my card is Sergio, Neiman, and Nah. Like I think I'm good with that card. I'm fine with that. Just some ball striking guys. So I want to get your take on this, and then I want to get your Pebble picks just because you're on TIB1, so I want to get some of your thoughts on Pebble this week. My thing is that, do you think Hovland is deserving of the number 3 ranking in the world right now?
Yes, and the reason I say yes is because he can only beat the fields that he's in, right?
Yep.
Like everyone's kind of saying that he's winning these events like Mayakoba and he's winning in the Hero and things like that, but they're just the events that he's playing. Like once, he didn't play in Torrey Pines last week. He played the Dubai Desert Classic and won it. Like he finished 4th at Abu Dhabi. And he shouldn't have won last week. Like Rory should have had that sealed like within like 3 holes, and he finishes birdie, eagle birdie. Like it's just insane. You just first, 30th, full first. Like what can you do? Like it's just absolutely insane. So he does have to. I think he has to contend in majors this year to kind of justify it and stay there, if that makes sense.
Or just like literally win any PGA. That's like not Mayakoba. And Victor is like obviously an unbelievable player. Like I think it really just comes down to, for me, like the Hero World Challenge shouldn't count for OWGR. In my opinion. Like
no, I think
it shouldn't. And if that wasn't the case, then he wouldn't be 3 in the world. I obviously think he's a fantastic player, and I'm not I just think that he needs to win a PGA Tour event this year. That's not Mayakoba.
I think he's been. I don't know if it's him or how he's been advised, but I think he's been very smart in how he's got his schedule going. Right, like coming back to Europe when it suits, coming back, playing. Obviously, he played the Hero. Most people do, but yeah, I completely agree about the Hero World Challenge. Like people, I mean, Hendrik Stenson stayed inside the top 100 for ages because of winning that Hero World Challenge, and he was horrendous for a long time. And you look at just guys are just literally just. It's not their fault, right? It's the ODWR giving the ranking points away, but just people just getting. I mean, Patrick Reed finished 3rd in that, and he's just high up in the rankings. He's been bad, for a while, so it's tough, right? I think he does. If he went and won a Riv or anything like that,
any event. I don't care if he wins the Travelers. I don't care what Rory committed to the Travelers today. I don't know if you saw that.
Did he?
But the next thing I want to ask you, what is with Colin Morikawa in the European and the DP World Tour? What? I don't get it. What is it? Why does he always play in it? Do you know? What is it?
That is a proper game in the system. He had a chance to win the whole total money because he won the Open Championship, won the WGC, and then just played in 2 events. He was absolutely atrocious at the Scottish Open, which was the only other regular event that he played. Then he obviously won the Open, figured it out, but that wasn't really. I was there at the Open Championship. It wasn't an Open. If he gets caught in the wind at St Andrews, he is dust. He had no chance. So he just came over and all he had to do was basically contend, and he won it. And it was so wrong. But he won it. So at least he won the event. That kind of softened it a bit. But again, that was a Rory. Rory should have won that as well. That was the famous shirt rip.
So basically, he won the WGC and the Open Championship, and he didn't win those events because he wanted to win the DP World Tour or go onto the World Tour. But he did. So he won those, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I just got a bunch of points. I'll go play the final." Then he won it, and I think that like he's playing these events kind of as like an ode to it. Like he won. He basically won the FedEx Cup of the DP World Tour. So now it's like, okay, I can't just win that and then never play it again. So he wants to get some reps in, because I'm like, why is he always playing in the DP World Tour? But it makes sense now.
Easy money, right? So whereas the FedEx Cup is like 500 to any winner, 300 for an alternate event, 600 for majors, WGCs or whatever, it's prize money for the DP World Tour. So because he won over $1 million at the Open Championship, and because he won over $1 million at the WGC, like he is just so far ahead of everybody else. So all he had to do was basically turn up at that final event, and he won it. I think the only person that really had a chance to take it off him was Billy Horschel, and we know how that one played out. So yeah, I think he just picks his 4 events, plays in them. But
it was kind of by chance, because he just won 2 events that counted, and then he just was like, okay, I'll just go and win all this money.
Good
for him.
Zalatoris, same thing. Like Will Zalatoris could have literally come over and just played in it and had a chance to contend. Like they're not trying to grow the game, or they're not competing on 2 tours to try and prove themselves. They are just literally going, I make 4 starts, I'll win a boatload of money.
That's great, because I'm always like, why is Colin in this field? Like, what affinity does he have to the European Tour? Okay, so let's get your Pebble Beach picks, and let's get you out of here, because I know it's late in Europe. So who are you taking outright at Pebble Beach?
So I've started with Kevin Kisner, right? And this is a real go against the grain for me. Like, I don't really bet Kis that often. When I do, it's kind of at those really obvious places for him where you think, Wyndham, RBC
Sony.
Heritage, Sony, like just real straightforward places. But for me, I really like the link between this and the Wyndham Championship. If you look at the kind of crossover of the leaderboards, and I think that makes sense because there's just so many wedges into greens here, and that's all you're playing, right? Wedging and putting, and I think his record should have been better. And when you look, he's finished 10th here in the past. He was 28th as well, and then he was top 8 after 36 holes. I think the only thing that holds Kis back is who he gets as his pro-am partner, because he's not this jolly guy that would just play with anyone. He's not a Pat Perez that just wants to entertain. He's like a good old boy who likes hunting and college football. And if he doesn't get someone he can talk to about that, he could be bored stiff for 7 hours. So that's the kind of concern with that. But I think he's got a good chance. He was 50 to 1.
Yeah, I think that's a good number. It's not on my card, but I did bet it because I just thought 50 was a good number. I don't think he's going to win. I think there's some concerns about his pebble putting, but I think it's a good play. So who's your next outright guy? Who else?
Lanto Griffin. He's been automatic right this year. He's 3 top 7s this season. Shot 65 final round at Torrey. Was 9th here in the past. And when you look, he shot 67 on Spyglass Hill, which is the toughest of the 3 courses. And when you look back, he won on a Robert Jones Senior course on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he designed Spyglass Hill as well. And his son Reece Jones designed the Houston Open course that he won at as well. So obviously has a bit of an affinity with that. And I think he's just striking the ball well enough to go and compete at Pebble and Monterey as well.
No, I think it's a great play. It's the perfect example of recent form plus course history. You put them together, you get a good number on a guy, and you just go. Any other outrights you got?
So Tom Hoagie's going to eventually win, right?
I bet Hoagie.
It's got to happen, old Hollywood. He stung me at the Sony. I thought that was his week. I had actually had him on the podcast before, and I sort of we spoke about it, and because he nearly won that event 2 or 3 years ago, right? He had a chance, and he basically misclubbed on the 18th hole. So I think he just likes to repeat form. And I found a link that I like to the Greenbrier, which doesn't actually play anymore, so it's basically irrelevant. But he finished 2nd there, plays well at these kind of coastal tracks, Hawaii and Mayakoba as well. It's just whether you think it can happen. I think it's one of those Luke List won last week, so maybe Tom Hoagie can finally get over the line, and everyone's going to do the same with Tringali as well. They'll just bet them now until he wins. But they're not quite the prices Luke List was last week.
So I keep talking about it, and it's really upsetting. I know you had Luke List first round leader, correct?
Yeah.
And you didn't have him outright.
No. So
how are you grappling with that? I know he didn't win, but I bet Luke List top 10. He modeled out well for everybody. It's 80 to 1. It sucks when you bet a guy placement and not outright, and he goes out and wins. That is horrible, and I can't get over it.
So basically, so we did a preview podcast for Lost for Words before Christmas, and pretty much since I joined Odds Checker in September, every bit of writing I've done, and I've written about Luke List, I've basically just said he is Jason Kokrak in waiting. Like, he was the same age, has the same skill set, everything, and I was like, he is going to win 3 times on the PJ Tour, and it's going to look really weird. And so I bet him for 3 weeks in a row, right? I think finally at the Amex, I just went, right, that was his last chance. Like, he's not going to win a Tory. Like, as much as he plays well there, it would just be a top 10. I can't deal with the hope that's going to kill me. And I jump off, and I thought, you know what? At least if I jump off him outright, I'll just bet him first round leader. Like, he's perfect for the South course. Get him on there. John Rahm just rips out my soul, ruins my life for that, and then he goes and takes down Zalatoris, so I'd bet outright as well. So
you really you got it worse than me. Okay, you made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, by nature, British people are miserable anyway. So I kind of win always. But yeah, no, it was tough, man. And I'm kind of happy for him. It's weird, like as someone that kind of believed it was going to happen. I'm like, oh, I'm glad for you, Luke List. And in my head, I'm like, you fucking ruined my life.
And that's why, like, I'm of the thing is this, like, I can't quit Seamus Power. Like, I've bet him so many times. It's like I get a 30-1 on him at a weaker field. Like, I'm not gonna hop off. Like, what is fundamentally changing? And like, I know you wouldn't make that mistake again, but sometimes when you're high on a guy and it's just like you just bet him. And the thing that pisses me off the most, and I know you'll agree, is that it's 80-1. It's $10. Like, you don't need to you don't need to reconstructure your whole betting card to any 60-1 guy you see any value in. Put $10 on it. I mean, I don't know what you like to win on outrights, but I like to win over 700. If I could do that on a $10 wager, bet a bunch of guys. You're not going to be like. And that, I think some people get so caught up in like card construction and units and shit. It's like, dude, it like you can't bet 3 guys under 25-1, but like post 60-1, like just take it. Like, it's not gonna break your bank, and you could make a great return on it. So we're just gonna have to move on.
My biggest regret really was like I tried to get too clever. Like, I knew Luke List was a good play. I said on the fancy thing it was a good play. And I knew for 4 months it was a good play, right? I knew that was a great spot for him. And I just went, do you know what? I'll bet Mackenzie Hughes. And the reason I'll bet Mackenzie Hughes is because no one else is. Like, he's hitting the ball well. He played well at the US Open. Everyone says it's too long for him, so it won't be too long for him. And what was it? Too fucking long for him. Like, and he he played the wrong ball, right? Did you see that? Like,
yeah, I did. Yeah.
So that was my life. And I tried to get too clever and go, so let's be unique. And I think a lot of people worry about that because, and maybe you're better positioned for this, because in DFS you need to be unique. Like,
you need to be unique in DFS. Yeah. Cam Smith, highest owned guy at TOC. Yeah. Russell Henley, highest owned guy at Sony. Last week, Luke List, 25% ownership. It's like, you have to differentiate other ways, but like usually the highest owned guys are like good plays. Like, people are good at this. And like, 3 weeks ago, who do you like at Pebble? I like Mavic Neely. That makes sense. Mavic Neely. He played well there last year. He's playing well. California guy, boom. And then it's like, he's going to be the most popular player this week. It's like, I'm still betting him. Like, I'm not going to because obvious winners have happened this year. And I'm not hopping off. Like, I'm not going to hop off just because it's too obvious. Like, Luke List was too obvious. Anyone that knows 2 shits about golf and made a model and put the right things in it, Luke List would have been top 5 in it. Like, at 80-1, it's just like, go, just take it.
I said, like, as long as I can get the price that I want now, I said, like, going forward, forget trying to be clever. Like, I don't care if a million other people bet Luke List at 80-1. If I bet him 81 and I win, great. Like, our whole thing is that we create content for people. So obviously we want other people to bet the same people we are, because otherwise what are we doing, right? So there's no need to try and be too clever with bets. And like you say about the DFS, I'm learning this now. Like me and Matt Vicenzi have been doing a show, and like, if you like a guy, just take him, because you can always differentiate in the 7K, the 6K. Even sort of paying up for an 8K guy that people don't want to be on, I think is a good idea. So I thought about doing that with Brian Harmon this week in DraftKings. I hate Brian Harmon. Like, absolutely detest the guy. I don't know how he's good at golf. Like, just him walking around angers me. And I think people have just kind of cottoned on to Brian Harmon being good from like 4 years ago. But He's kind of putting a little bit better now. This is a good course for him. Bit of wedge play. I think he's 8,600. I think he is. Like, no one wants to play Brian Harman at that price. So I think take him and just
Brian Harman also was someone I thought about because anytime it's like a shorter course and Brian Harman plays well, I'm like, why didn't I play him? But my thing, I'm gonna do a little exposure to him, but I like him on like Pete Dye courses and TPC courses, and like it's not that this week. I don't know if that's enough of a reason, but I think going forward, any Pete Dye, any TPC, you just play Brian Harman and like forget about it. And I think that's a valid thing this week. I mean, it's a shorter course, so these are the places he can contend. So Brian Harman, I think I might put him in a few lineups, maybe bet a top 20 on him. But I'm excited for Pebble. Like, I know the field's not great, but like I'm hopefully like have some good guys in the mix, and it'll be fine. I think it'll be a good one.
And people like dog on Pebble, like because of the 7-hour rounds, and no one wants to see the celebrities. And from a golfing purist, it does suck, right? Like, you don't want to be sitting there watching analysis of, Carlton from Fresh Prince. Like, it's just not the same thing. But I've got a couple of guys at the 100-1 and bigger range. Like Brandon Harkins, who won on the Corn Ferry last week, and this is like, I knew this wouldn't fly under the radar. Literally, my first line in the Oddschecker article was, "You're going to see his name a lot," but he had a decent couple of performances here during his sort of journeyman time. I think it was like 15th and 28th. His coach is the master instructor at Pebble Beach. He's been there all week. He won a Pebble Beach Invitational before Christmas. He was like 7 shots ahead after 2 rounds. Like, he's just perfect for this. He should have been on the PGA Tour, but COVID happened, so the Corn Ferry Tour got extended, and he lost his card that way. So he was obvious. I think people are picking up on him. And the other guy that I thought maybe might go under the radar but didn't was Grayson Sigg. Like, all of a sudden it was like, everybody in the world is on Grayson Sigg. And a bit like last week, I thought maybe I just won't do it then. And I just couldn't do it this week. After what happened with Luke List, like, I'll just keep betting on him. Like, maybe I won't play him in DFS, but I don't know. Like you say, how unique do you need to be, right? You just need to get it right. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Talking of unique, Sung Yol No, Pebble Beach, 6,200. Just put him in your lineups. If you want a bit of differentiation, or just
he'll make the cut. You're guaranteeing a made cut.
I am not guaranteeing anything, but you can put that as the caption if you like. You can hold me to it. People are here live. He's had some good finishes here, right? And plays well on tough courses. He's making some cuts on tour on the Corn Ferry. What is he doing here? Like 74th, 67th, 30th. Perfect. Get through the cut.
All right, he made the cut. All right, 6,700. You could get Cantlin, another top guy in there, so that works. I'll play him at $6,200.
He's 1,000 to 1 over here to bet. So I think he won at 19 years of age on the European Tour. What more do you want? It's only because he went away for military service that we lost him. He's like Sangmu Bay, but a couple of years later. So that's kind of where I'm at with Pebble. Like, I don't know, who else have you got on your card?
I got Sarah for TIB. So I got to save her for the other one. But Tom, I want to get you out of here. I want to get you a good night's rest so you could I got some writing to do as well. But Tom, I'm not even kidding. Absolute pleasure. I love talking to you. You're a great guy. You put out great content, and I'm glad I could have you on TIB. Plug all your things, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm glad we could talk some Saudi and some other things.
I enjoyed it, buddy. Thank you for having me. I do the Lost for Words podcast, which is on Apple and Spotify and Amazon, all that good stuff. I write for oddschecker.com. And Tom Jacobs 93 on Twitter, which you can see down there somewhere. So, good stuff, Brian. Thanks for having me, buddy. And I look forward to doing it again soon.
Of course, yes. All right. Have a good night.